Hey, how you doing? Welcome to this week's Into the Lair. I appreciate you watching us. Last week we had the episode on stereo bus compression. That was just an introduction. We're going to go in deeper into that. I want to apologize. My friend Sebastian walked in when we were talking about pumping. I appreciate you guys letting me know that. So we'll do that pumping example at the end of today's Into the Lair. Today what I wanted to show you was I picked a typical session. Promise you I didn't doctor it. It's where I left off. And I just want to kind of give you an example of how I work, and then I want you to send me some examples of how you work. Rather than take the time to say you do it different or you like this way or that way, I probably do too. This is just the way I work this week. Next week it'll be different. I change a lot. But if you have something better, I'd love to see it. Just post a video. We'll find it. And I'm not saying I'll show the video, but I'd sure like to learn. We'll see what happens with that. This is a song called Weirdo. It was produced by Brent Paschke, Ahmed Oliver, Shy Carter. It was written by Brent, Ahmed, Shy Carter, and Ray J, and Mr. Midwest. All right, let's get right into it. Let's start and work backwards. I'm going to show you the output and go back all the way to the individual tracks. So, this track here that you can see the little thing on, that's where everything ends up. I prefer recording my two-track rather than bouncing it to disc. I actually record the entire song real time. This send here is going to what you're hearing, so you can hear it. This is actually going to my real-time analyzer I use from time to time because my room's not perfect. And that comes up here. Watch this. Okay, now, as you can see, this is being fed by the output of bus 49 and 50. Bus 49 and 50 comes from this track. This is just an aux. On this aux is where I tend to put all the things that I showed you last week about the stereo bus. And that's being fed by a master fader. Print, print. So everything that says print is feeding this system. Let's quickly go over what I got going on here. Okay, this is what I ended up using for the record. The Massey L 2007. Here's before. Now, I tried this. I liked it too. This is the ML 4000. You can see right here, I'm knocking off about the same amount. Here's before. Now I'm getting a lot more gain out of that. Settings here, check those out. Here's the L2 without it. Sweet. Now this track is, as I said, fed by a master fader. Go to the Avid website. There's it'll take you a second, but you'll find some papers, PDFs about. They're kind of like white papers, I think is what they call them. But I read that, and after I read that article, I'll try and find the name of that article for you and mention it to you a little later on in the show. But that's when I started using these master faders because they actually have a 48-bit output and I can control what's feeding this because I have a tendency to get kind of crazy. I'm used to mixing on an SSL and we beat the crap out of the stereo bus. So, and I still do, and I can do it now thanks to version 8 and 9. Okay, now let's move on down. If you remember, we talked last week about Michael Brower and a buddy of mine, Jason Joshua. I mentioned Jason a lot because he and I worked together a lot, and I learned a lot from him. But I was complimenting Jay on a drum sound, and he told me he was using an aux or a sub mix for his drums, and he was putting just a little touch of something on that. And then after talking to Jay, I read the Michael Brower article, and turns out Michael's doing something very similar, except he's using 4 ABCD buses on a 6000 SSL. Well, I thought that was kind of neat, so I expanded my original way of doing things, and now I have an all vocal sub, a programmed drum sub, a live drum sub, an all music sub, and all effects. This particular song has live drums and programmed drums mixed together. That's why I chose it. So all of the auxes, as you know, they're coming out print, coming back in here. So now let me show you what I got going on. If I'm moving too fast, let me know. Okay, here's the program drums. We're going through an API 550, and then we're going through another little Massey compressor. I'm just barely kissing that. Okay? You know, let me show you what it sounds like without it. It's pretty subtle, but it keeps everything under control. With it. Okay, cool. Okay, now the live drums. Okay, on the live drums we're going through the Waves H comp. Brent and the other cats that worked on this track, this was the setting they had on their drum aux. I kind of liked it. No need to reinvent the wheel, so I pretty much kept it. I tweaked it a little bit because that's how I roll. API. Let's do before and after on this, Dan. Kind of cool. You can hear the thwack. You can hear some of the things we talked about yesterday. By the way, this is being filmed and edited by Zan Nakari, who does an amazing job. Like we refer to him here at This Weekend as Mr. ITL, Mr. Into the Lair. All right, let's mute that. The music, I put this, you can see I'm actually rolling off a little bit of top end. This is without it. I just felt it gave it a little bit of a, I don't know, it was getting a little pretty, so that's Brent playing guitar. Incredible guitar player. By the way, guys, if you think you've heard Brent Paschke's name before, he is the guitar player with Pharrell and NERD. He's been with Pharrell, gosh, what Zan, 10 years, something like that? Incredible musician, incredible producer. I didn't say amazing. Okay, now let's check out live drums, music. Okay, I didn't touch the vocal aux, and this is where I just feed my effects. The only reason I do that is when we print stems, it makes it a little easier on my assistants. Okay, like we promised, here's our example of pumping. I'm using a compressor bank plug-in. What you want to listen for is the volume goes down when the kick drum hits and catches the compressor. The hi-hat is going on quarter notes. Listen for the hi-hat. The hi-hat actually comes down when the compressor pulls the kick drum down. Notice, you can't hear it. Watch this yellow right here. Watch that. That's the amount of level that's coming down. You can hear it pumping. The meter's just a hair behind it, so you can hear that pumping. This is without the pumping, just so you can see what it sounds like. All right, next week we're going to pick up right where we left off today. We tried to squeeze this all in one episode, couldn't do it, so we're going to chop it up. Part 2 next week.